So hello everyone, welcome to my today's YouTube video. So in today's video, we'll discuss about the social barriers to the women empowerment. And these barriers, they are deeply ingrained in the norms, attitude, and the practices that restricts women autonomy, participation, and that further perpetuate the inequality. My young friends, in present time, gender inequality is the most important and the darkest stigma. And now we are talking about gender inequality. So this is the most important and the darkest stigma. In our society, we have always said that the girls and the boys, they are equal. But generally, ask to yourself, are boys and girls equal? There are different type of upbringing for the boys and the girls. Girls are made to be soft spoken. They are made to have more patience. They should be more carer, nurturer. They should be perfect in the household chores. And while if we talk about the boys or the men's, they are made to be more masculine, tall, strong. है ना, boys don't cry because they are not emotionally weak, है ना, they are the solely breadwinner of the family. So these are something, the upbringing of the genders are to be made by the society, and this is called, my dear friends, socialization. And this socialization defines the destiny of individual. As ruth hardley Ruth Hardley also mentioned the four stages of gendering socialization. And what were the four stages? First, it was manipulation. How the society, they manipulate the certain gender role. Then second is canalization. Third is verbal appellation. And the last and final stage of the gendering and socialization is activity exposure. This is how the gendering, it manipulate, it canalize, it verbal appellate, and at last the activity exposure is done, and thus the totally mindset of the girl and the boy, it get impacted by the society. And this also led to the functional fridge of the gender roles and further perpetuate the gender inequality. I can't wear a pink dress because I know कोई ना कोई मुझे टोक देगा, क्या ये लड़कियों का कलर पहन रखा है ना. These is the impact of socialization. हमें बचपन से ही सिखाया जाता है that pink color it is only for the girls and the blue color is only for the boys. Now this is how the socialization is deeply ingrained in our norms, attitude, and the belief. My dear friends, this is the impact of socialization. Same अगर हम political arena की बात करें, so political socialization come into the consideration. Now we know that political sociology is a subfield of sociology, and where we talk how the social forces, they shape the political system. So same, the socialization agents, the political socialization have the same agents, है ना. So women are suppressed to not engaged in the politics or the policy making, as it's a male work, not of the females, है ना. Even I also thank to the leaders like Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar, who gave early right to every adult the right to vote in the 1950s, where the world oldest democracy like America, the every woman didn't enjoy the right to vote there. In 1960s, the Native American women, black women, they get the right to vote. But if we go to the ground reality, ground level, we observe that the voting rights with every woman, they have the voting right, but the ground reality is that they don't enjoy the voting right independently. And the voting decision is mainly dominated by the elder male or the patriarch of the family. Now we often see in the rural area that if my grandfather is voting to XYZ party, then the whole family is also voting to the XYZ party. It doesn't matter ki my mother, which party my mother prefer or which party my father prefer. Mainly who is ruling in that family, that is the elder male patriarch. Mainly कौन होता है? Grandfather, and after the death of your grandfather, this power lies in the hand of your father. So this is how our society is mainly a patriarchal society. It is dominated by the males rather than the females. When a woman, it steps out to contest an election, the family don't ask that do you have the vision. It asks who will cook, who will look after the children, who will manage the household work or the household owner. This is classical social reproduction theory. What is this? Classical social reproduction theory, my young friends. As the Betty Friedan, Betty Friedan, we know that she was an American feminist. She had a very important role in the second wave of feminism in America. So she had a seminal work, that is the Feminine Mystique. So Betty Friedan, in her work The Feminine Mystique, she also focuses on the same about the dreams of the woman. यार हम पूरी जिंदगी एक लड़के के ड्रीम्स के पीछे तो लगा देते हैं माँ बाप, लाइक माई सन वॉन्ट टू बिकम एन इंजीनियर, सो होल इन्वेस्टमेंट ऑफ द फैमिली, होल इन्वेस्टमेंट ऑफ द पेरेंट्स, दैट इज इन्वेस्टेड ऑन द सन ओनली कि उसे इंजीनियर बनना है, सो हम बनाएंगे. वट अबाउट द फीमेल ड्रीम, वट अबाउट द गर्ल्स ड्रीम, है ना. टेक एग्जाम्पल ऑन योर मदर. आपकी मम्मी जब स्कूल टाइम में होगी, शी वॉज ऑल्सो लाइक शी ऑल्सो ड्रीम टू बिकम एन इंजीनियर, टू बिकम अ डॉक्टर, टू बिकम अ टीचर, बट वट नाउ इज शी इज नॉर्मली अ हाउस वाइफ, and to give the owner what we call a homemaker. है ना. I don't remember, अभी the prince of UAE also gave a good name for the housewives, है ना, to call. So now what was the dream of your mother, that she want to become a doctor, but now what she is, she's a homemaker. So what about the dreams of your mother? How was the dreams was totally ruined? It was ruined by the family only, because they get married, then after marry they had a children, and now she is rearing the children. So she vanished all the dreams just in the sake of your family, just in sake to क्या बोलते हैं उसको, लालन पालन करना ना फैमिली का ना. So now she is just confined to the domesticity, to the domestic works only. So now this is what Betty Friedan in her work The Feminine Mystique highlighted, that this further led to the distress into the female minds. So just like the word elitist historiography, we have often hear this word elitist historiography. So what this word mean? So it tells us that our history or the historical writings is mainly dominated by the elite section of the society. And they totally ignore the poor, marginalized or the subaltern people from the history and their contribution. So same like in our society, the word patriarchy tells that society dominated by the man that oppress, repress, exploits women in every field. Like Uma Chakraborty, a scholar, in her work Gendering Caste, she gave the term Brahmanical patriarchy. Brahmanical patriarchy. She gave this word Brahmanical patriarchy in her work Gendering Caste, which is commonly visible in the honor killings for intercaste marriages, or like 2020 Hathras rape case. If we go through that, a 19-year-old Dalit girl, she was brutally raped by an upper class adult. So this is how the patriarchy is deeply rooted in our society. है ना. ये तो ब्राह्मणिकल पैट्रियार्की थी. हाउ द ब्राह्मण्स, द अपर कास्ट, सो कॉल्ड अपर कास्ट मेल, दे डोमिनेट ओवर द लोअर कास्ट फीमेल, है ना. ऐसे ही एक दलित पैट्रियार्की करके भी टर्म बीच में लाइक बहुत फेमस हुई थी. सो दीज टेल दैट हाउ द पैट्रियार्की इज डीपली रूटेड इन आवर सोसाइटी, एंड दिस इज द सोशल बैरियर टू द वुमेन्स एम्पावरमेंट. I thank the government to raise women issues about the under-representation of the women in politics, है ना, by this Nari Shakti Vandan Adhiniyam Bill 2023. देखो ये सोचने की बात है ना. If the male PM of the India, the largest democracy, speak about the sanitary pads and the importance uses from the Red Fort, है ना, why sanitary pad is still seen as the taboo in the society? हम देखते हैं कि सैनिटरी पैड कोई लेने जाता है तो उसको कैसे ब्लैक पॉलीथीन में देते हैं ना. ब्लैक पॉलीथीन में, यानी तो उसको ऐसे मतलब रैप किया जाता है पेपर से कि वो सैनिटरी पैड दिखे ना. और मेनली मेल तो जाते नहीं, मेनली वुमेन या गर्ल्स ही जाते हैं फॉर बाइंग द सैनिटरी पैड्स. भाई अगर एक मेल PM रेड फोर्ट से सैनिटरी पैड के यूजेस द इम्पोर्टेंस बता रहा है, वो भी दुनिया की सबसे बड़ी लोकतांत्रिक देश का जो प्रधानमंत्री है, फिर भी सोसाइटी में इसको एज अ टैबू, एज अ स्टिग्मा क्यों देखा जाता है ना. आई थिंक दैट इफ सच अ गवर्नमेंट रिमेन्स फॉर द लॉन्ग टाइम विद द हाई रिप्रेजेंटेशन ऑफ द वुमेन एट द नेशनल लेवल, then the issues like rape, marital rape, dowry harassment, preference of the male child, unpaid care work, such issues will also be put at the national level and look forward for the positive solution. At home, who cares more? Who do saving more? That is the woman only. Research also finds the women were seen as the head of department, state in any institution like MLA, MPs, DM, SDM, their maternal care, education system, their PDS, including the health services get improved. So this is the advantage if the women increases at the national level through any reservation bill, how our nation is going to be developed so far. Are you understanding? Like Rwanda, Cuba, Mexico, this country, they have the women representation at national level more than 50% or more than 50%. We take the example, yaar. Take the example of the 73rd Constitutional Amendment Act. What was the 73rd Constitutional Amendment Act? That reserved 1/3 seat for the women in the rural panchayat. Okay, that reserved 1/3 seat in the rural panchayat. So last 3 years National Panchayat Awards, these awards, they don't have the reservation. So the last 3-year National Panchayat Awards, constantly the number of women representative getting award is increasing. For example, Aarti Devi. This is the example which I'm telling. If the women representation, if the woman gets empowered through politically, through socially, through economically, through culturally, then how our nation, individual, state, nation, global, that's going to be like progressed and developed. So Aarti Devi, she was a sarpanch of a normal village in the Ganjam district of Odisha. So how the PDS, the public distribution system, she improved in a village. How the literacy campaign, literacy campaigns she launched in her village. देखो ना, ऐसे न्यू आइडियाज कौन लाता है भाई? जो कंजर्वेटिव टाइप ऑफ द क्या बोलते हैं सरपंच, दे डोंट हैव सच आइडियाज. हाउ द ट्रेडिशनल फोक आर्ट of that region was Ganjam. So how she revived that such a folk art through awareness program, through seminar, workshops. So this is the main thing about the women's empowerment. The social barriers we talk in this video. What are the social barriers? We started from the socialization, how socialization impact on a woman, how the patriarchal norms are deeply ingrained in our society and affecting the woman to get empowered. And we personally take the example from the politics, how in politics the women are marginalized, and if the women come in the politics, how the woman is getting to empowered and progress the nation as well as the individual. Also from the some scholars like Chakraborty, Friedan, Ruth Hardley, we try to understand such topic. So concluding this discussion on the social barrier to the women empowerment, I just only want to say that Swami Vivekananda also said that man and the woman are the two wings of a bird, and it's not possible to fly with a single wing. So both wings should be there. So same like that, the both wings should be there, the man and the woman. If you are gonna to be empowered a nation, if the nation has a dream to become 2047 Viksit Bharat, so the both wings are necessary. So we should uplift the both man as well as the woman. So thank you so much.